Hello and welcome to another Media Briefs episode from Media Voices. Short, sharp, sponsored episodes, 15 minutes or so, with senior executives from a vendor that is working with publishers to make their businesses better. This episode I'm speaking again with Bridged Media CEO Maanas Mediratta. Last time we spoke about how Bridge Media was making AI tools more accessible to a broader range of publishers. This time our conversation was focused on how publisher conversations around AI have moved on and why measuring ROI is becoming a key part of the discourse. We're at a different stage in the industry now, I think. You can tell me more about this from what your experience with your customers is. But we're actually at the stage where people are not just, oh my God, I have to get AI into my business. We're at the stage where people are trying to say, how can I measure the impact of AI on my business? Is that right? Do you think that's where we're at?
Yeah, I would say so. I think 2023 and 2024 was more, hey, we need to incorporate AI. But now that FOMO has gone away, or at least has moved to a different fear, which is fear of not being able to measure. And at the end of the day, post 2 years of a hype cycle in this innovation, which is Gen AI, it was natural that more and more people question about the tangible value. And we're seeing that consistently across everyone that we interact with, whether we work with them or not, where they're always going or leading with what is the tangible value rather than, what this product does.
So it's not that focus on, oh, this is amazing, this does things that I never believed software could do, to, okay, how much money is this going to make me? Or how much money is this going to save me? Or even just how much money is this going to cost me? Is that the kind of conversations you're having?
Yeah, and I think this is something that you would witness in any sort of innovation that comes in, right? When metaverse came in, or those goggles came out, there was a lot of hype, and everyone just wanted to get their hands dirty with it. Slowly, steadily, the ROI comes in because at the end of the day, no business would want to keep investing unless it actually creates something tangible for them. So while the wow factor is there, with Gen AI, it is waning. It still is there. But as I said, the conversations are now led with, okay, what is it exactly in the business that's going to get boosted, or what kind of cost can I save, and things that directly impact the business.
To me, as someone sort of stood outside of all this, it looks like it's quite difficult to actually measure AI's ROI. The idea of actually putting a value on that investment, is it difficult?
It is difficult in general because usually Gen AI touches multiple functions, right? It is even more difficult in a media landscape because of a lot of different factors, and I'll try to name a couple of them. One goes back to the issue that I was saying, that Gen AI typically would touch many functions. A product person is supposed to, sort of control how the product is being ingested with this new Gen AI tool, whichever tool you might be using. Then the editors and people who are, gatekeepers of content would want some sort of a say in it. Then, of course, it needs to touch a commercial part. So these use cases typically span between multiple functions, especially in a typical media company. So when you talk about ROI, it is saving some time for the content gatekeeper. It is creating a more intangible output on the product for the product owner, and then it is creating some sort of tangible outcome for the commercial person. So really being able to measure ROI is difficult. Being able to measure it in a way that decides whether you want to keep investing or not is even more difficult, because then there are more stakeholders that come in. Then it comes about strategic decisions, what would be the future in terms of the money it can generate or save. So it is complicated. It is far more complicated in the media landscape with so many stakeholders and so many different objectives as well.
But is there an easy way to put the pieces in place that would help with that ROI measurement?
Yeah, whenever I talk to someone in the media landscape, right, I always tell them that the first angle or the first view that you should have is, how can AI enhance my current value proposition? And different media companies, believe it or not, have very, very different value propositions, from the point of view of being the fastest to report something to having a very, very niche opinion or view on certain subjects. So being able to first map out what are the enhancements that I can do to my current value proposition is step number one. Step two, I would say, is really being able to break it down into the key goal that it is accomplishing. whether it's saving time. If it is, for example, saving time, then what is the exact KPI that it can boost? Is it number of content pieces per person? Is it additional impressions that are being created with the AI enhanced content? Whether it's using AI and using things such as creating polls, whether it's creating additional engagement, additional loyalty. So really being able to come up with a North Star methodology is a key element. And coming back to the first point that I said, that North Star ideology should be in hand with your current value proposition, your current value to the market. If you're able to honestly answer both questions and come down to that North Star, it will definitely be the first big step to making your AI investment tangible and ROI friendly.
With the people that you're working with, do they have that North Star or are they just starting to work on that North Star? Is that something that's pretty new in the implementation cycle?
Yeah, I think I've seen AI maturity in different levels for different media companies. There are definitely companies that started their journey of leveraging AI. I'm not talking about making AI deals. That's a complete different thing, which is, sort of monetizing on your IP. But there are many publishers that started this journey of how can we use AI, Gen AI, and there are companies that are at a stage where they're still at that FOMO stage where, hey, all our competition is doing something, we have to do something. Let's just invest and then find tangibility later or ROI later, which is becoming lesser and less. This group of people is becoming way smaller than in 2023 and 2024. Then there is a set of people starting their early experimentation where they have found certain pockets of value. Funnily enough, I've been able to put any use case in under these two umbrellas, which is enhancing productivity or enhancing customer experience. Those are the two key categories that we've seen where people are doing early experimentation and are able to create projects depending on their internal priorities. And the third, where they have some data, they are being able to follow some sort of North Star KPIs. We're seeing publishers that are mature in terms of their AI adoption. So no real trend, but three different kinds of publishers that I'm seeing with different maturity levels to measure ROI.
Do you think part of it is just taking what you would consider to be traditional KPIs? So, I don't know, engagement KPIs or revenue KPIs or whatever they are. Is it just mapping that across to this AI implementation?
No, I think at the end of the day, these North Star KPIs have to reflect what the business wants to achieve. So they might still be traditional, but that doesn't mean that it is a roadblock for their AI adoption, if that makes sense. A lot, or I would say most of the publishers are still stuck in that impression is my key North Star KPI. But that is changing, at least from what I'm seeing, especially when they're seeing, hey, my search volume is not predictable anymore. My overall programmatic revenue is declining day by day, or sometimes increasing where they don't have an explanation of why. They are really looking to create better audience focused KPIs. But what I always tell them is that there is no right or wrong KPI. As long as the KPI, even if it's impressions, there are many businesses that are driven by impressions. And even if that is the KPI that they are looking for, that's okay. As long as you're able to set up these processes, set up these systems where you can measure in an easy way that's actually enhancing your value proposition of increasing impressions or not.
So, is there best practices that you would recommend to publishers in terms of putting these kind of KPIs or measures in place?
Yeah, I think one of the key things that publishers have to do is be as agile as this ecosystem is, right? Where unless they are confident of a particular KPI and they are not able to measure it properly, they should go with what the industry or a lot of people would call as a lean startup cycle. Really think about creating a KPI, thinking about a prototype of whatever solution, whether it's a solution of enhancing your content generation capability, engagement capability, revenue generation capability. Those are the three key buckets that I see. And really test it out. Was I able to measure the KPI? What was the struggle? Was it an internal alignment struggle? Was it a system struggle? Was it a data, sort of baggage that we have that we are not able to measure? And then go in small sprints to be able to refine this model. Because until unless you, as a publisher, are not able to measure the impact of something that you're doing, you would always be stuck in this problem of, hey, what product should I build it? Should I buy something? Whatever implementation you do, you have to be able to measure it. If not, you're in that quicksand, and believe it or not, the time is ticking.
Yeah, definitely. Is there certain AI implementations that you're seeing better ROI from that you would say, oh, yeah, here's an area that you should really be deploying AI?
Yeah, to the two categories that I mentioned, right, which is productivity and customer experience. And then coming back to your true of, hey, what is my core value proposition to the market? If your core value proposition is that you are the most efficient in as compared to your competitors in bringing something out, well, in this information industry, right? For example, there are cases like Reach PLC. They pride themselves on being the first to report and distribute it in the right way. I would really focus on productivity and then go deeper into productivity, because productivity also has a overall content cycle, right? Which is discovery process, then the generation drafting process, processing it to make it visible, and then analyzing what is doing well and what is not doing well. If you look at the overall content cycle, publishers who have that focus on productivity then need to double click into, hey, which part of the cycle am I focusing on to increase productivity? And then again, connecting the dots to what I said earlier, then going with that lean startup cycle methodology, where you try something, try to measure it, and then try something else. If you're not able to measure, then improve on your measurement technique. And if you've been able to measure, then go to the next iteration of what is the next version of the solution that I'm trying to do, whether you're building it internally or you're building with a vendor. Doesn't matter. The lean startup cycle can be adopted across different maturity. So that's on the productivity. Really focus on, hey, within the content cycle, am I trying to use AI to discover content for my audience faster? Am I using it for drafting based on my tone and style faster? Whether I'm doing it for processing, such as SEO optimization, distributing it into different channels, or my biggest roadblock is I'm not able to analyze. And this can also be a vitamin versus a painkiller approach when you're trying to prioritize. And then on the other side, which is the second category that I talked about, which is customer experience, that can really boost a lot of different things within once the audience lands. When you're giving the customer experience, there are different objectives based on the business that going to be core to you, whether it's engagement, especially donation based businesses. They should focus on initiatives when it comes to engagement, and that's where it will give you the highest ROI. There are some businesses that are, for example, affiliate based. Here what you're focusing on is conversion. How much eyeballs can I create a click with? So being able to isolate within the different processes, within the overall chaos that you might have in your operations. On first, should I be focusing on productivity or should I be using AI to enhance the customer experience? Once I select that category, go deeper into which is the subcategory or which is the real task that I would like the AI to automate or augment or support with. And then whichever task you select, think about the KPI, think about your North Star, and then adopt as much as you can the lean startup cycle. Of course, it's easier said than done. This seems like a silver bullet that I'm handling, but it is not. It is very, very difficult, especially for big organizations.
There's two sides to that, right?
Yeah,
Don't try to do too much too quickly. And the other one is be prepared to test and learn. You know, the silver bullet is an excellent analogy. If you think you're just going to plug in this AI and everything's wonderful, that's not the way the world works, right?
yeah, and I think that's been one of the biggest reasons for failure that we've seen, where people just expect, okay, this is going to just solve my problem like this. It's not. It's going to take many, many cycles, many, many iterations. Like anything good comes with hard work. So those failures that you will have while trying to adopt and try to do this AI transformation is the fee that you're paying towards success. So each failure is making you better. Each failure is making you one step ahead of your competition. And until unless that is adopted, that can be the biggest, as I said, the biggest reason for failure. If you're thinking with one iteration, my problems will be solved. I'm sorry, please come back to earth, and that's not going to happen.
So, as a vendor supplying AI solutions, is that one of the things that you guys work with? You actually put an AI ROI framework in place for the people that you're working with? Is that one of the things that you would do?
Yeah, and it's, I think, one of our competitive advantage as well, because we've done 1,500 AI experiments with publishers across the globe, from publishers that have an audience of more than 500 million a month to niche publishers that are serving a very niche and a sustainable business model with 50,000 or even lower. So we have developed multiple frameworks that can help them in really understanding where they are within the AI maturity as well, and then even prioritize based on what might move the needle for their business. And a lot of it is done through automated intake forms that we have, and forms that they can fill. Of course, you can't expect like a proper consultative approach. We won't be able to come in, do a lot of different things for you to come up with a strategic outlook for your business. But we do provide frameworks that can give hints, especially for mid-sized businesses, to know what is their next best action.
Looking long term, do you think the ROI will support this ongoing AI investment? Do you think people will be like, oh, yeah, okay, this is working now? It's not just hype. It's not just a wow factor. It actually is delivering ROI.
Just sharing results from our business, we have seen within 3 to 6 months at least a 300% ROI coming in for the AI agents that we deliver, because it has to. At the end of the day, AI is disrupting a lot of different functions. And our principle is that it should not replace jobs, it should augment what people are doing. That's how we are building agents. And in fact, most of our teams that are using our agents are hiring more people. So we're seeing ROI, we're seeing opportunities that publishers are identifying across the funnel, whether it's, as I said, to increase productivity or to create more outcomes on their content. The ROI is in fact going to get even more and more accentuated, even become better, even become more and more tangible because of the innovation cycles that are happening with AI. AI is constantly becoming cheaper to run. AI is constantly becoming better. Now, the biggest problem sometimes that I've seen with publishers in sort of saying that the ROI is not positive is because they don't have the expertise. They will try, they will fail, they will try, they will fail, and they'll call the use case as a negative ROI use case. And that's where, that thinking has to change. Are there other options? Are there vendors? Is there internal teams that have already built this in the past? But my overall point of view is the ROI is just going to get better and better.
Do you think publishers need to start taking a slightly longer term view on some of this?
Yes, I mean, I wouldn't disagree with that, but having a long-term view is good, but with a short-term milestone. If you don't have a target, let's say in 3 months, I'm testing this out that will increase my session time on page by 10%. Unless you have those short-term KPIs as well, the long term would just feel a dream, would feel vague. You will not be able to get alignment and interaction and momentum within your teams. So, yes, I think each media company has a long term sort of at least thinking that AI would be some way or the other valuable within their tech stack or within their analytics stack or within their content stack, whatever that use case they are thinking. But really having short term goals is critical to be able to achieve the long-term vision. So the maximum that I always say for a project is we need to have a target for the next 3 months. Then once we hit that target, or at least we get as close to the target, then we build it for the 6 months. So every quarter, there should be a very tangible target. That doesn't mean that every time it doesn't get met, you sort of, get rid of the people who are working with or fire internally your tech teams. Really learn what went wrong. How can I, get this to a better shape? Because as I think everyone in the industry would agree, it is going to change operations. It's going to change how businesses monetize, how media companies monetize. So it's just a matter of choice of, hey, do I want to play the waiting game and see who succeeds or fails? Or do I want to be the person that, controls the narrative?
Thanks so much to Maanas for speaking with me and to Bridge Media for sponsoring this Media Briefs episode. It can be a challenge to visualise operationalising AI, what that means for your organisation in terms of people, processes and tech. Bridge Media is currently running a survey to help establish an industry benchmark on how to future-proof your business using AI-enabled tech. Go to the landing page for this episode on voices.media and take the survey to help find out if your newsroom is AI ready. Or go to bridge.media to find out more about how you can optimise content, boost audience engagement and maximise revenue with AI.